Well, hello, all my wonderful, beautiful brothers and broadcasts of the wonderful, beautiful Maverick Nation. I am the Dark Shadow Maverick, and this will be What if Izuku was Venom? Yes, that's right, kiddies. I'm going to be attempting this. It is 1:52 in the morning. I believe. It is part 1 of What if Izuku was Venom? Oh, don't act like I'm not. I didn't want to do this, so I want to do this. It's just things are kind of out of order. Like, it is dark as frick a frack right now. And I don't even know if you guys can hear me. But I'm gonna try this anyways. Such is the life of me. Now, how we're gonna make this work? Well, in this, basically it's gonna be Marvel and DC characters are gonna be able to be in this. Anyways, basically, starting out, we're gonna have basically the multiverse. I guess you could say the multiverse is tired of this Jean Grey, Dark Phoenix bullshit. Like, good Jean Grey, bad Jean Grey, good Jean Grey, bad Jean Grey. The multiverse is just tired of it. So, what does the multiverse do? It basically makes it to where Jean Grey is now good. End of story. And, well, basically how Jean Grey is brought back, Lazarus Pit. And instead of Bane being with Ra's al Ghul, nobody really knows why he isn't there. It's just Ra's al Ghul. Bane really isn't there. Nobody knows why he isn't there. He's just not there. And basically, first act that Jean does whenever she gets out of the Lazarus Pit and Ra's al Ghul is right there, she basically just bitches him. Just takes him out. Because the good guys don't like Ra's al Ghul. Ra's al Ghul just gets bitched by Jean Grey. And basically everybody else who's a follower of Ra's al Ghul, just basically everyone else in the building, besides Ra's al Ghul and Jean Grey herself, And basically, Spider-Man was going to inspect the building, so he was webbing over to inspect. That is until Jean Grey is flying out of a destroyed building, which was the building which Spider-Man was going to inspect. But then the building just explodes. So that kind of just screws over Spider-Man's plans for the evening. And, well, they kind of collide into each other. But before Jean Grey is really able to cause a tantrum, Spider-Man kind of, mediates the situation. He does his thing and kind of fixes the situation. And, well, basically, Jean Grey kind of mediates it in her mind that she can't really go back to the X-Men because, well, of after everything she's done. Even if she were to tell them everything that happened, even before she was brought back, she was basically being told what was going to happen before she was brought back. And then she was brought back. Yeah, she was basically being told by the multiverse what was going to happen and everything that had happened before she was brought back by the multiverse. That's kind of how that happened. She would just spit out after being told how everything was going to go down. And then the multiverse just decided to spit her out as good Jean Grey now. She can still go Dark Phoenix mode. She didn't lose that. It's just, it's no longer evil, like you can't control it anymore. She can control it now. It's controllable now. But it still has the power of the normal Dark Phoenix. It's just she can control it now. And she has all of her Dark Phoenix powers without going absolutely insane. And all that crazy shit. But after everything that's happened, and all the other past times that she's went Dark Phoenix, she really doesn't think that she'll be able to go back to all the other X-Men. She doesn't think that that's possible. They may want her back, but after everything that she's done, she just doesn't think it's possible. So she just feels she can't go back to the X-Men. Jean. And Spider-Man's whole thing, basically, after the events of Spider-Man One More Day, do you really think Peter's gonna be feeling sound in the head? And especially after the events of Civil War. That's gonna break anybody. Like, after One More Day and Civil War, yeah, that's gonna break anybody. And especially the shit with Thanos. He was kind of snapped out of existence and then came back because, I don't know, the multiverses wanted to have some funsies too. Not only was Spider-Man One More Day, but then Civil War happened, or one of those happened before the other, but they both happened. So yeah, Spider-Man has his own problems going on. And plus, I think for both of them, you had identity crisis. And that was just, what the hell? So, yeah. This is just, like, for both of them, you have a bunch of shit gone wrong. Jean Grey doesn't think she can go back because of everything that she did. And Spider-Man, his entire life has been hell up until now. So he doesn't even know anything anymore. I mean, he basically made a deal with Mephisto, or whatever the frick his name is, in order to save his Aunt May for like one more day. That's the name of the comic. Like, he literally sold his soul to Mephisto. And then you have the whole shit with Civil War, which was, Bucky and everything. Or whatever the hell his name was. Spider-Man had to jump into that and make a public service announcement, or whatever the hell he did. Yeah. That's not gonna look good on your record. And basically, to hell with their records after everything that happened. So, they're basically in a position now, both Jean and Peter are in positions now where they don't even know what to do anymore. And so eventually, instead of leaving each other, they're about to do that, but that's whenever they're just thinking, we don't have anything. And even the stuff that we do have left, like, even if we did have stuff left, like, even if we're wrong and we do have stuff left, I mean, there's still the scars there. There's still the pain. And after everything that we did do, like, there's still all of that there. And, oh, is it gonna be hard to have to, whatever's gonna need to be repaired, whatever we're gonna need to do, if we can't do anything, or if we're just gonna have to live with all this shit that we basically just, both feet in the hole, we just so far down. If we can even, like, climb out of the hole, or if we're just stuck here. But, they turn back, and they look at each other, and they're just like, Pete's whole thing with, like, Uncle Ben and saying, like, with great power comes great responsibility. And so, of course, Pete's going to turn back, and he's going to face, Jean Grey. Of course, he's not going to puss out. And Jean Grey is just like, if I'm able to do all this damage, I should be able to find some way to, even if I'm not able to repair the damage, face it. Face the damage. Don't puss out. Face the damage that I caused. And so, instead of turning away, they are going to go forward. It may not be easy, it may hurt like a bitch, but they put themselves in this situation. These situations. And so, they turn around and they deal with it. Because Pete knows that's what Uncle Ben would want, and Jean knows that's not the way of the X-Men. You gotta pull forward. You gotta do it. You just gotta fight through all of the pain. Because that's what an X-Men would do. And plus, she's brought back good now, so of course she's gonna do the right thing. Because the multiverse brought her back good. Lazarus Pit bullshit. And, well, Pete, always has that nagging voice of Uncle Ben, telling him with great power comes great responsibility, and that will never leave him. That's something that, Peter will always have there. And no matter what choices he makes, he's always going to have that voice, and he's always going to eventually do the right thing. Eventually he'll do the right thing. Because Uncle Ben is always going to be there. And he's always going to have that speech, always going to have that there, and that's always going to have Peter do the right thing eventually. Eventually, he'll do the right thing. Because that's just how it's been set in stone for Peter. Ever since that day where Uncle Ben died, Peter has never been able to leave that state of eventually it will happen. And so these two are just turning around and they're facing what they've done in the past. What Peter's done in the past and what Jean's done in the past. And eventually, they just get everything that happened with Peter, he doesn't know where to go. And everything that happened with Jean, she feels as if she can't go back to the X-Men. And that's reasonable because of everything that's happened. So eventually, it's kind of like they bunk with each other. They don't know where they're going to bunk, but eventually they're going to bunk, and they just decide to bunk with each other. And eventually they do find somewhere. I think eventually Aunt May does die, and wherever inheritance that Pete does get from Aunt May's death, I think he would. I think that's where they would end up bunking. I laugh, but it really would hurt for Aunt May to die and Pete to just be stuck without Uncle Ben or Aunt May. That would just suck so damn hard. I laugh, but it would suck like hell. If it hasn't already happened already. Well, anyways, I'm gonna say that eventually Aunt May does die. And so, yeah, basically that's gonna hurt even more for Pete. All that sacrifice all for nothing. But, he has Jean with him now. And also Mary Jane as the additional support. Gwen Stacy can't really be additional support because she's dead too. And that just sucked, hard, whenever Gwen Stacy died in the movies. But, you got Mary Jane, and now you have Jean Grey. Really, Pete didn't want to tell, Mary Jane about Jean Grey, because he didn't want to make it feel like a third wheel, or that, she was being replaced. He didn't want to do that. But, it just kind of happened out of nowhere, and so he's just he has to ease. He's like, if I'm going to tell her, I'm going to ease her into it. I'm going to ease Mary Jane into it so it can be as easy come, easy go as possible. And, Mary Jane says she understands, but deep down Peter knows inside she's hurt. That she's hurt by this big ol' smack dab in the face called Jean Grey. And eventually Jean Grey knows that she cannot run away from this forever. So eventually she would get in contact with Professor Xavier in his last dying moments. With Professor Xavier just getting worse and worse. And eventually Jean Grey would try to tie up the loose ends with the X-Men that she can. It's gonna be as hard as hell, but she will do with what she can. And not everyone is going to be easy, yes. Some easier, like Cyclops and Gambit, but some not so easy, like Wolverine. Yeah, Wolverine is gonna be a bitch to try to deal with. And whenever it comes to, like, Jubilee, that's gonna be a wild card to deal with. Whenever it comes to Jubilee, I think Beast would understand. I think, given enough time, Beast would truly be able to not only understand, but even help, Jean with the problem. And the whole thing with Storm and, well, Rogue, that's gonna be its own mess. Because, chick to chick, woman to woman, babe to babe, it's gonna be its own wounds that you're gonna have to lick. Your own tail that you're gonna have to put underneath your legs. Or in between, whatever the frick. And Nightcrawler, I don't even know. I don't even know with Nightcrawler. It might be like Wolverine. I don't know. But Nightcrawler's his own person. It might be like Beast. Oh my god, but I just don't know. With Nightcrawler. And then there's Mystique, which Mystique is doing her own thing, so I don't know with Mystique either, but at least I think with Nightcrawler and Mystique, it could be better. It might not be as much hell as trying to tell Wolverine this shit after everything. So yeah, you have that. Oh boy, you have that. But eventually, everyone, with Professor, Xavier's dying breaths, and even Magneto would come over there, and he wouldn't have all that many harsh feelings against Jean, because this would be the last dying moments of Professor Xavier. And I would imagine that Wolverine would be like, what's this guy doing here? Whenever he sees Spider-Man. Because I think, Spider-Man would want to be a part of Jean's life. Considering the fact that they literally bunk with each other. I would think he would want to be a part of her life. Now that they literally bunk with each other. And, well, once all that was sorted out, and, freaking Professor Xavier Charles, got Wolverine to shut the up, with his whole drama mama bullshit. And, once the whole thing with Magneto, Magneto finally reminding him for the umpteenth time, Wolverine, your claws don't work on me. I literally have the ability to control metal. For the umpteenth time, he has to remind him that. But, that wouldn't really be the main focus. The main focus would really be, of course, Wolverine would want to say his heartfelt goodbyes, and Jean would want to do that too, but she'd kind of find it hard to do that. But she would finally, suck it up and do her best to say her heartfelt goodbyes. And there would even be the point where Magneto and Charles would just, they would have to. It wouldn't be complete. It wouldn't be a complete story without them saying their own heartfelt goodbyes, because they're brothers or uncles. They're family. I'm just saying they're family. So it wouldn't be a complete heartfelt story without that. You know, the complete heartfelt story of the X-Men. It wouldn't be complete without that. And basically, well, whenever everything is, well, all set up there, basically, Jean would know when to take her leave, and Spider-Man would even go. And, you know, Wolvie and Spidey would even give themselves their own looks. Like, they would look at each other like, you and you. Like, they would give themselves their own looks. Like, if you didn't want to see her again, you don't have to. If you don't want to see her again, you don't have to. She's bunking with me. And for people like that have played the PS4 Spider-Man game and know about his financial situation, I'm not going to do Spider-Man that way. I'm not going to do one of my favorite superheroes dirty. I'm going to say that from all the stuff he was doing with Mary Jane and his job with that one, I believe, Yuri chick, I'm going to say that eventually he did get financially stable. Eventually he came into his own, especially with all the jobs he was doing in Europe, because, you know, if you play the Spider-Man, like, PS5 thing, apparently he ended up in Europe. I'm gonna say that eventually he went back to New York, and with all the stuff that he got there, and all the shit that he did there, that he would be financially stable, eventually. He would get financially stable. And plus, with all the earnings from Aunt May, and basically everything that would have, like, piled up over time, eventually he would become financially stable again. And so you really wouldn't have to worry about that problem. Plus, with Jean Grey no longer, you know, people no longer have to worry about all those problems. She could go back to doing, you know, hero work. And with that, you'd have even more, you know, raking in the dough. So, there wouldn't be as many problems. And eventually, all the X-Men, and eventually all the Avengers, because, you know, once it's finally revealed, hey, Spidey isn't freaking, you know, disintegrated by Thanos anymore. I don't know if they revealed that, you know, to the other Avengers, if he ever got brought back or if he stayed dead. Well, I'm just gonna say, you know, he got brought back and they finally revealed that he's back. And basically, Tony, since they had that connection, would definitely want to come to whatever meet and greet would be like, for like, hey, Spider-Man's back. And, you know, the other Avengers would want to come back if Tony came back. I mean, come on, they're all a team. So, like, Black Widow, and the Hulk, and freaking Hawkeye. Basically, like, all of the Avengers would just be coming, because there would be, like, a big meet and greet. Because, you know, everybody's like, oh, and Captain America, you know, Captain America, Cap. I just now remembered Captain America from the Civil War trailer whenever Spider-Man caught his shield. I just now remembered him. But basically, all the Avengers would be there. And even Nick Fury, you bet your ass Nick Fury would be there. He's the one who assembled the team. So, yeah. Oh, and Ant-Man and the Wasp would be there because, they're a part of the thing. And Doctor Strange would be there. Yeah, everybody. Like, just everybody would be popping out of the woodwork. And this would be a badass gathering. You'd have so many different guys. And even, if you were expecting about the X-Men, if Namor could keep his ass cool for like 5 freaking seconds, like freaking Namor, maybe he could be allowed to join, even though he hasn't really been in a movie, but just saying, maybe Namor, if he could calm his freaking tits for 5 freaking seconds. That's the problem with Namor. He has anger issues. Like, up the ass. Like, whoa, buddy. We're just trying to have a gathering. And basically, the whole gathering would be nice. And the gathering it wouldn't be any normal gathering. Because this gathering would have actually been to celebrate something. And what they would have been celebrating was something that's freaking finally Spider-Man had decided to confess. Peter has his own personal life, but if you can't, have your own personal life with you, that kind of went out the window the moment you decided to spend all this time with this woman. It's not going to be like in the Raimi movies where it's on again, off again freaking relationship with 70 bajillion different people. No, I ain't having that bullshit. And I ain't doing the Raimi movies bullshit where it's like on again, off again relationship with 70 bajillion different people. Peter's heart is with Jean. And he finally decides to show this fully by finally freaking proposing. And that's what this is all about. This entire meeting, basically, them getting married. That's the entire meeting. It's a big old meet and greet because they're finally freaking getting married. And well, the two of them couldn't be more happy. The Amazing Spider-Man with the Dark Phoenix. I mean, they couldn't be more happy. And don't think it isn't going to make public freaking news. Spider-Man with the Dark Phoenix. The Spider and the Phoenix. Up like big old page, big old spread. It ain't gonna make big ass news. You don't think it's gonna make big ass news? You'd be crazy. And the whole thing with that is eventually, you know what they say, K-A-S-S-I-N-G. First comes love, then comes marriage, then comes baby carriage. Well, it's not like they're wrong. Because eventually, finally, Jean tells Peter the big news. Jean eventually tells Peter one day, well, technically it really is named Jean. Jean was going to tell Peter, but whenever Nick Fury heard the news, he lost his shit and ran over to find Peter, while Jean was kind of not really in the best straits to try to chase Fury down. So Fury just ends up trying to find Peter and he ends up finding Peter, and he ends up ruining the surprise. Like, damn it, Fury! It's like in King of the Hill. Like, damn it, Bobby! It's like in King of the Hill. Damn it, Bobby! But basically, surprise ruined or not, it's still wonderful news. And like, Jean, even though she's pissed off at Nick Fury, like, he'll get his ass kicked sooner or later. For ruining the surprise. But, Jean is happy. Like, this is, like, the greatest news for, them. And, Peter is overjoyed in all sorts of ways. Like, he's feeling happiness. He's feeling, like, all this different uncertainty. He's feeling all these different emotions. And so is Jean. Like, to the point to where her powers are actually starting to flux. But, with Peter there, she's good. With Peter there, she's good. Plus, she knows she has a child that she has to take care of with Peter, so she can't just go off crazy, off the handle. She knows she has a child and a husband, so she knows she has to keep a handle on her shit. Plus, the multiverse has basically decided what, like, her alignment is. So, yeah, you have that. And basically, what ends up happening, yeah, like, the entire X-Men get informed about Jean's pregnancy as well. And as much as some of them might want to be pissy earlier, whenever they heard everything, now that they know all this shit about them getting Peter and Jean getting married, and now Jean's freaking pregnant with Peter's child, like, holy shit. Like, good freaking God. Like, this is big news. So, of course, Wolverine is gonna show up. Like, because. And even the She-Hulk would show up. Yeah, even She-Hulk. And, the Hulk would be there. Basically, everyone would freaking be there. Like, even the Silver Surfer would be there. I think he's a good guy. And Captain Marvel, even though I don't like Captain Marvel, she would be there too. And Shazam would be there. Just because. I think that would be cool. No, oh yeah, I said both DC and Marvel characters can. Basically, a bunch of DC and a bunch of Marvel characters would be there. This would be like a really big, important event. Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Basically, yeah. With the whole thing of Jean being pregnant and Spider-Man, Peter, he knows he's going to have to be a father. and Jean is going to be the mother. There's the whole thing about the fact that this is also my hero, and basically the whole science of superpowers. I'm going to tweak the science of superpowers because there's the X-Men science of superpowers. Basically, I'm going to kind of have it like that, but I'm also going to have it my hero science. Basically, it's my hero science to where, like, that's kind of how it works. But I'm going to have it X-Men science, like, the more, like, you have the same power, the more you go down the line, the stronger the power becomes. Like I've said before here, like, X-Men logic. Basically, that's what I'm doing. X-Men logic, but the majority of it is my hero. Until I find something else that I want to change, if I want to change something else. That's basically what I'm doing. So, mostly my hero, I believe, with a little bit of dab of X-Men logic, just for that. For now. For now, just for that. And, well, unless the universe, like, more or less the multiverse, wants to change your alignment, like with Jean Grey. Which is the entire reason why Jean Grey and Spider-Man are even a thing in this. Hey, I thought it was a cool thing to do, and so, why the frick not? And you guys may be wondering, what does Spider-Man X Jean Grey have to do with Izuku being Venom? And he's not even in this story. So yeah, what the hell? Well, that's where the funny thing comes in. That's where it's gonna be like Spider-Man 3, like Raimi Spider-Man 3 slash the movie Venom slash the movie Venom sequel, There Will Be Carnage. Slash a lot of that. There might be a little bit of Andrew Garfield in there as well. Depends on how I want to do this story. And basically, on the whole deal of Izuku and shit, and like the whole Venom deal, basically, how this is gonna work is basically, whenever Izuku is born, well, basically, the doctors explain that usually the signs of the quirk either show up like the moment you're born, when you're 5, or sometime after that, which sometime after that would make you, like, consider you a late bloomer. Which, a good percentage of the time, being a late bloomer is a bad thing. But, you know, the science of quirks is usually either you're born with it, or, like, you wait till you're, like, 5, or, like, you're a late bloomer or you don't have a quirk at all. Which, if you go towards more of a late bloomer thing, people are more likely to think that you don't have a quirk at all. Which is why it can be dangerous for the late bloomer thing to even happen. So, yeah, that's kinda why that's that. Basically, a fusion of Spider-Man and Jean Grey's powers, you know, Spider-Man and the Dark Phoenix. A fusion of those two is scary. If you don't think it's scary, then I don't think you know, like, Spider-Man and Jean Grey. Jean Grey has, like, psychic shit, And Spider-Man's shit is just insane. Like, I am a firm believer that Jean Grey could contend with Thanos. If she really wanted to. Basically, what is said... Basically, all three of them are basically meant to go in there because of what the Doctor originally sees. Basically, he's like, you two need to see this. And it's basically seen that little baby Izuku kind of has developed little baby versions of certain powers. He's kind of like developed little baby versions of Jean's powers, where it's kind of like very weak telekinesis or psychokinesis. Like all sorts of different kinesises. Like very weak baby versions. And whenever it comes to Spider-Man, well, Izuku does have a very acute awareness of things around him. And whenever it comes to strength, he's also very strong. And he's even like agility-wise pretty freaking, not normal for a baby. And he can even stick to stuff somewhat. And the really scary part is the fact that he can shoot web, but the web is not normal web. It is the kind of web that he could do whenever he was in the black suit. Yes, that's right, black suit Spider-Man web. The black web. Yes, his web is different from his father's web. And actually, Jean starts freaking out a little, and so Peter has to go into explanation mode. And this is wherever it gets crazy mode, because, he's going into explanation time. Basically, he explains that somewhere around the time where he was his relationship was, his relationship with Mary Jane was failing, and his relationship with Jean Grey was starting to flourish a little. Around that time, he actually did sort of get into an altercation with what he believes to be left of the Venom Symbiote. Like the explosion that happened in the third Spider-Man movie. It turns out that I'm going to headcanon this. It turns out that not all of the Venom Symbiote was destroyed. That's why I said I'm going to headcanon this. Some of the Venom Symbiote was left. Not all of it was destroyed. Some remained. And it kind of made a little bit of a bargaining thing. Basically, allow it to live on him, and it won't do anything. It will just kind of be like a straggler there. And it will just stay there and mind its own business. And Peter's like, Peter, he knew this was stupid. He knew this was a bad idea. But he did it anyways. And he's hating himself. He hates himself for doing it. But for some reason, Peter, Peter just guesses that he thought enough of the symbiote was destroyed for this to be safe. Peter has no idea how he could ever think that, but, Peter's kind of just kicking himself right now, thinking that this was a good idea. Because apparently sometime during the news that Jean was kind of either pregnant or getting pregnant, the seed was passing over, the danger of possible whatever would have happened, take in mind that this is only a small portion that is slowly growing to become stronger. So whenever it hears the stuff about, pregnancy, it starts to freak out. And so it needs a new body. And seeing as, Jean is starting to get pregnant and flow, everything is starting to flow, as soon as the Venom Symbiote goes to try to hop onto that, it ends up hopping onto the egg instead. The egg that gets all the stuff. And so, instead of just hopping onto Jean, it hops onto the thing inside of Jean, which is basically the egg, which will become Izuku. So basically, because of the fact that it freaked out, it's the entire reason why this is happening. Basically, it's kind of like Black Suit Izuku. And basically, the more and more time went by, the more and more the Venom subconscious, or conscious and subconscious, started to grow and started to form. So the more and more time went by, and the more and more Izuku began to form as a person, the stronger and stronger Venom began to become inside, and now it's complete form again. But the problem is, Venom is now inside of a baby. Little baby Izuku inside of Jean. And still developing the egg. Everything is just still going on. And basically, that's why Izuku has what he has. He has everything the way he has it, plus Jean's powers. It's not just Venom. It's also Venom with Jean's powers. So yeah, that's even more terrifying. And they don't know if Venom could influence their little baby to do bad things, or if they could find a way to make a handle on that, or find a way to rip Venom out early on without killing him, or putting him into shock. And basically, the way the doctors see it, they basically call in Oscorp, because the Oscorp people are the ones that would probably be able to help the most, the Oscorp people. And now that Harry, now that Harry's running Oscorp, things will indeed be able to, you'll be able to map things out better, is basically what the doctors at the hospital are thinking. And basically, once everything is done and thought over, basically, what Harry tells Peter is basically, this is undoable. You cannot undo this. This is stuck. This is This is stuck. There is no one doing it. And I know your mom's probably going to want to kill me, but it's the truth. We can't undo this. It's too far gone, it's too far in there, and besides, the way the Venom is and the way Izuku is, trying to undo it would probably only make things worse. No, not probably. It would make things worse. The way this is situated, the way everything is worked, there is no way to undo it. You could try, but you'd only be hurting your baby. And Peter, hearing that like they could try, but they'd only be hurting their baby, and basically knowing that he's going to have to tell Jean that. And once all of that is done, basically, once Peter is finally, basically tried his luck at, his most pinnacle of trying his luck, which is basically telling Jean everything that Harry just told him, which is basically that they're stuck this way. I mean, they could try electrocuting, burning, or using supersonic sound waves, because those are the three things that, actually would do anything. But, this is a freaking baby. And by the time it grows to where, things could be done, it would have gained a sort of immunity. So, yeah, they basically are stuck like this. Yeah, basically, this is unavoidable. It's unavoidable. And basically, Jean, her reaction is fainting. She faints. And basically, Spider-Man, Peter kind of realizes that the reason why she fainted is because he wasn't gentle enough. He kind of just blurted it out. So the next time, whenever she wakes up, basically, he tries to be gentler. And she's about to faint, but she holds herself together. She's the Dark Phoenix. She can handle this. And basically, she hears everything, and, now that she's heard everything, she's like, but Izuku, our little baby, Izuku, this appointment, this second appointment, this redo, this follow-up appointment, is whenever Izuku is, 5. Basically, how are they supposed to tell the rest of the world that basically the equivalent of what, quirk Izuku has is the fact that he is not only Spider-Man, but also Jean Grey, but also Venom? How are they supposed to say any of that? And, people not go at them with pitchforks and, torches? Because, people! Don't act like the people don't know about Venom. They know. And they know about the Sandman and freaking Green Goblin, Hobgoblin, and Dr. Octopus. They know all about that shit. So, yeah. How exactly do you think they're supposed to freaking do any of this, or control a way for, people to react? Or even if they were able to, how long they'd be able to do that? Basically, they come up with a plan. Harry, Peter, and Jean Harry, Peter, and Jean, they come up with a plan. Because, right now, Izuku's only 5. And they basically have to say something. They come up with a quirk that basically kind of like All for One, the #1 villain in all of Japan, is kind of like the same name. So basically, the quirk is Black Spider, or the Black Spider. Is basically the whole thing. The Black Spider. And that's basically, it's kind of like a cover story name. And that's how people are kind of gonna know less. But even if, when they do, because, like, Harry, Peter, and Jean kind of all know that eventually people are gonna figure out. They just don't want them figuring out at such a young age for the child. And eventually, it gets to where Izuku is like 10. Basically, Bakugo is known for a while about the Black Spider quirk. Well, quirk. I say in parentheses. Bakugo is known a while about the quirk. And the whole thing about this is, well, how have Izuku and Venom been communicating? Well, basically, Izuku knows what Venom needs to survive. He needs some sort of meat or like chocolate, but chocolate will only go so well for him. So he needs some sort of meat if he's not to eat Izuku's organs. And well, Peter, Harry, and Jean have kind of all accepted this. That's kind of the thing. And well, finally, whenever it does get time, age 15, it's finally the final day of middle school, the last day of middle school. And well, basically, the teacher is like, oh, I would send out these career aptitudes tests, but I know everyone wants to be heroes, and everybody would just flip their shit, and, Bakugo would flip his shit, but, Izuku would just be like, don't worry, Venom, soon enough. Soon enough. Because he knows the actual name. He knows. He's one of the only people that does know. But the whole black suit thing, the whole black spider, is kind of like in a remembrance of the black suit. Like Peter, like having like a remembrance to that part of his life. He may not exactly like it all that much, but he doesn't exactly like Venom all that much either. But he's kind of grown to get used to him. And so is Jean. And even Harry. They've kind of all grown to get a little used to him. And Venom knows his boundaries. And, they've kind of lessened more and more as he's become more and more of a family member. But not too much. Just enough. And, well, at this point,
Bakugo does his whole thing where he like bam on the desk and blows it up. And well, freaking Izuku's just giving him a look like, really, it's the last day of middle school and you blow up my desk. Wow, that is wow. Like it's already the last day of middle school. What good is gonna blow my desk up do? What good is that gonna do? Really, Bakugo, I mean, what good is that going to? Wait, what are you doing? And he just grabs his notebook. Bakugo would just grab his notebook. It would be lucky number 13. Not so lucky, actually. It's an unlucky number, but it would be number 13. And he would just hold it above Izuku's head. And, he would just throw it out. But a little surprise for Bakugo is he would get gut checked, and then some of the tendrils would actually start to leak out of the sleeve, and they would grab the notebook. And well, Bakugo really wasn't able to explode the notebook because it was too fast of a reaction, the gut punch. So no explosion was really able to come out. So basically, not only did Izuku fight back, but he saved his notebook. And now he's going to run. He basically just runs for the hills. But he ends up basically, seeing, like, basically there's the Spidey sense that, Venom's whole thing. He can sense that there's something in, like, the sewers. So he just shoots up, like, choo-choo, and, like, gets on top of the tunnel and continues to race, just, like, full adrenaline rush. But whenever he jumps down to the other side, there's, like, it's almost like they encircled him, one from the left, one from the right, and Bakugo just parkoured over, like, landing right in front of him. Like, the kid with the wings is on this side, the kid with the fingers is on this side, and Bakugo is in the middle. They just freaking... And they're on all sides. Like, literally, Manji formation. And, Izuku, he has no idea what to do now. Like, Bakugo's still pretty hurt from that gut check. And basically, the kid with the extendy fingers tries to grab his journal. And while Izuku has his journal and is holding on for dear life, the kid with the dragon wings basically blows a gust, and it causes, Izuku to land on his stomach, knocking the wind out of him. And basically, the kid with the extendy fingers gives, Izuku's journal to him, to Bakugo. And this is just whenever everything goes bananas. Like, literally, Venom is like, I'm tired of this shit. Hell no. Like, this is literally like what happens. Like, hell no. I'm tired of this shit. And he just gets covered in the Venom Symbiote. And he will just jump up right onto his feet and bum rush Bakugo. And then he will just smack the kid with the dragon wings in the face with his journal. And then he would just like race up to the kid with the extendy fingers, and then he would do some extendy stuff of his own with the tendrils, and then they would just call it to spin like a washroom cycle, and then go all the other way, just sending him, like, catapulting him. And then he would just be like, this is what I hate the most. Bakugo. I hate people like you. Bakugo would just get up and he would see the journal, and he would try to sprint for it like he would barely have any air in his lungs. But Venom would see this and he'd be like, hell no. And he would just run up there and he would grab him like, and he would just grab him with a couple of extendy things that grab the journal and would just be like, you were looking to steal this again, Bakugo. And like, Izuku and the Venom Symbiote would just have the journal in one hand, and then he would just throw Bakugo with his other hand, and being like, you're not even worth my damn time. And then, Izuku would be like, what was that? Venom, what was that? And Venom would just be like, saving your journal, that's what. And, Izuku's like, I just hope nobody caught that on camera or anything. And, Izuku would be like, oh, yeah, shit, that's right. We gotta get back to Mom. And then, they would just bolt. However, someone would have saw that. It would have been All Might who saw that. He would have been in the trees. He would have actually knocked out the sludge villain ahead of time, because he actually would have sensed something was going to go awry. It was just one of his things. It's like the hero sense, like, I can tell something is going to go awry. And so he would have just found a way to, like, pop into the sewer and sneak up on the sludge villain from surprise and take him out. And he would still be in the bottle. And, All Might would just have enough time to get him back to the police station. Just barely enough time. And, later on that day, All Might would actually, because he was drinking buddies with Aizawa. Him and Aizawa were drinking buddies, and they would be speaking about this. Something for Aizawa to be looking for, because, All Might's more of a day hero, and so he knows, like, Aizawa's more of a night hero. So just in case that ever happened during the night, Aizawa could take care of it, because All Might already had something he needed to take care of, so that's his excuse. He already had somebody he needed to take care of. Plus, he was actually pretty surprised at that, whatever the hell that was. And Aizawa was like, well, if it surprised All Might, then it must be pretty freaking crazy. And Aizawa was just like, well, whatever it is, sounds interesting. Whatever the hell it is. And so now both All Might and Aizawa are on Izuku's case. Izuku and Venom's case. And basically, Izuku barely gets home, and both his mother and his father are on his case. And basically, he ends up having to tell them the truth. But it was more or less Venom, trying to save his ass, because he got cornered, Manji formation style. They weren't making it possible for him to not fight. He was cornered away from anyone that could have helped him. The other way is, straight into, a dead end. So, yeah, he kind of didn't have a choice. other than to just get pummeled. And Venom wasn't going to let that happen. It's at this point where Venom is like too close to Izuku to just let him get his ass kicked. And, Spider-Man and, Dark Phoenix, Peter and Jean Grey are just hoping that the damages were as minor as possible. And Venom inside is just like, son of a... like, son of a... And, Izuku's like, define minor as possible. And, well, it was in self-defense, and, the school calls, freaking the parents call, but Mitsuki knows how Bakugo is. And so, you know, all things considered, Izuku gets off pretty scot-free. But then again, that's because you know how Bakugo is, and the fact that he was literally cornered, and because, Venom is just kind of, didn't want, Izuku to get his ass kicked, and, very overprotective brother type. Doesn't want to, see his symbiote buddy, his symbiote brother, doesn't want to see him get hurt. And Spider-Man is just like, well, that's better than how he was whenever he was bonded with me the first time. And Venom is like, don't remind me. Like, don't remind me, Peter. Because, the first time, Venom made, like, freaking Peter an emotional mess. And, made him his girlfriend. And I think you guys know what I'm talking about. Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. And it's like, also, like, Jean would be like, also, my baby boy didn't get hurt. Jean's also very protective over, Izuku. It's like, also, because of what Venom did, he didn't get hurt. So, also, I'll let that slide. Just, for that. So, yeah, there's all of that. And now, all the worrying about the 10 months of training for the UA entrance exam. Because now Izuku and Venom have to worry about that. The 10 months, like, for the written exam, and the 10 months for, like, the practical exam. Which, all things considered, Izuku with his methodical mind shouldn't have a problem with the written exam. And all things considered, the practical exam should be a piece of cake for, Izuku with Venom. So, it's not really that much to worry about. But, that's for another time. Anyways, Alon Z and Adele says the Dark Side of Regularity out of here, boys, are fair to try. Whatever. Peace.